I guess with that, let's get down to the questions from the troopers on the interwebs. Getting a lot of questions lately. And I like it.
I like it too. First question. Jocko, if you were coaching McGregor, for those who don't know, that's Conor McGregor, UFC fighter, what would you focus on to try and make up the jiu-jitsu disparity? All defense?
Interesting. And if you don't know what's going on, Conor McGregor is fighting Nate Diaz again. 202 UFC. So a lot of times I don't like to talk about this kind of thing because it's by the time this comes out, by the time you're listening to this, it might be over. Don't care anymore. But there is a principle here, a concept behind this that does make sense to try and discuss so people can learn and improve, and something for me to think about my game. So you got this guy who's a really good striker going against a guy who's a pretty good striker himself.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. And that's one of the things that this is the question, the way it sets it up, as if jiu-jitsu is the only thing that Nate Diaz is better at. That might not necessarily be the truth. And in fact, in their first fight, it was the striking of Nate Diaz that forced Conor McGregor to shoot a sloppy takedown, take it to the ground. And once he got on the ground, the jiu-jitsu from Nate Diaz was just way too much for McGregor. So this question, it's almost a little bit off, because the question shouldn't be that there's just a jiu-jitsu disparity. The question should be, how would you make up for the fighting disparity? Or maybe not even that. It's how would you go against? What would you tell Conor? What would you working on?
Yeah. What's the strategy?
So let's just look at it as an overall strategic question. You got a guy what is he good at? That's the question. What is he good at? What are the strengths of Conor McGregor? He's fast. He's strong. But strong might not even come to play, because our Diaz walking around at 200 pounds right now. They're fighting at 170. So he's going to cut a lot of weight. He's going to be big and strong. He's going to be in better shape for this fight. Conor is pretty good with some unorthodox stuff. His striking is fast and fairly dynamic. So those are the things that he has going for him. What does Nate Diaz have going for him? His jiu-jitsu is really good. Really good. That's an understatement. His jiu-jitsu is sick. His striking is, especially his boxing. He's not a big kicker. Mm-hmm. So if I was McGregor, here's what I'd be doing. I mean, would I be working my wrestling? I'd be working my underhooks, of course, and getting control and getting back to my feet when I get taken down. Immediately getting back to my feet. The way I would fight if I was Conor McGregor is I would back off with the hard punches. I would throw a lot of really fast, light punches, and I'd move around a lot and just try and touch and go. That's what I'd do if I was Conor McGregor. I would possibly, starting in the middle of the second round, maybe into the third round, 5-round fight, I might start throwing some leg kicks. Nate sometimes doesn't even check leg kicks, so maybe you can start putting a hurting on him if you throw enough of those. But in jiu-jitsu wise, I would teach him to disengage. Because you don't want to get in the OODA loop with McGregor does not want to get in an OODA loop situation with Diaz because he can't keep up with him. Yeah. He'll be changing. He'll be going to the next thing, and Conor McGregor will get caught behind, and won't be able to do it. So I teach him to get. Now, one thing that does make jiu-jitsu a little bit harder, if you and I are doing jiu-jitsu, and your goal, you actually disengage from me, and you're just like, your whole goal, if we were on the mat, shook hands, slap, bump, and we're going to roll, and all you try to do is stay away from me, it would be a really hard round for me. It would be harder than if you attacked me. Yeah. It's harder than if you attacked me. Right. And when I did take you down, all you did was try and get back up. You didn't try and close the guard. You didn't try and attack me with any submissions. You just tried to get back up and get away from me. That is a much harder round for me than if you actually come at me with your full board jiu-jitsu. Right. Because then it's jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, and I have an advantage. Yep. But if it's jiu-jitsu of mine versus run away from you, now I got to run after you. Now it's a more fair fight. So that's what McGregor needs to do. He needs to use his speed and use his speed. And I think that's his biggest advantage. The other thing that I find about the Diaz brothers that I wish that I wish they would not train so much triathlon and train more explosiveness. I wish he was a little bit stronger, both Nate and Nick. I mean, those guys are awesome and they're great fighters, but they really train. They literally do triathlons. And so you're not getting explosive muscles. Now it shows that they have great cardio, but I'd rather just they were a little bit more explosive. That's my personal opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I dig it. I have no advice. I think Nate Diaz is so well-rounded in this as far as this matchup goes. I don't know. Just like that first fight. I mean,
yeah, the first fight though, you watch the first round, it's not a pushover.
No.
It's going to be a tough fight, man.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying
just making sure.
As far you know how you attack the weaker points, right?
Yep.
You know, like let's say I'm a way better striker than one guy, and his jiu-jitsu is way better than mine. I can stay. It's obvious that's where I'm going to attack. But in this case, it's not like that.
It's not like that.
So I don't know, man.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
it's a tough fight for Connor. It's a tough fight for Nate too. I mean, there was some. Yeah, it wasn't. Even though the ending of the fight was very lopsided,
right?
The first round it was a little closer, and I think Connor thought he had magic.
Yeah,
and thought that he even said in the post-fight press conference, he said, he was the bigger man,
right?
And I hit him with everything I got, and most of those would stop a smaller man.
Yeah,
they didn't stop him, and I think that's got to be hard.
Yeah,
and I think that got to him psychologically. So if he's prepared for that psychologically this time, maybe he'll be able to stick with a game plan and not shoot. On him, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, and even the shoot, it wasn't just like, hey, I'm gonna decide to shoot. It was kind of like a ditch effort. Yeah, kind of rocked too. And now you shoot, you're rocked, and you have to contend with Nate Diaz jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not just I gotta contend with Nate Diaz jiu-jitsu, which is bad enough, by the way.
Yeah.
But you're rocked, and it was like a desperation thing. Then you got to deal with it. Then you get that. So it seemed like it was so quick, but it was just a bunch of compounding factors, and culminated in the choke.
Didn't work out. Looking forward to watching that.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed. Next question.